Hello everybody. I thought I'd come back and do a video. So a little while ago I was thinking of themes for videos, like doing one of sort of subgenres, like top 10. So top 10 haunted house slash ghost movies, top 10 alien movies, top 10 sort of religious horror, top 10 slashers. And then Popcorn and Horror did a video about top 10 movies like based on real events. And I think Roy did one as well, and a while ago, Popcorn and Horror did Ash, I think he's called, did a video on top 10 films that or expedition kind of horror. I think it was about. So yes, so I started sort of basically you got the idea of doing list films, and then I rewatched this recently. It's a really underrated film, I think, with Mads Mikkelsen called Green Butchers, like a comedy horror. I think it's like Danish language, like subtitle film. So then it started me thinking of films with colours in their title. So yeah, I didn't think obviously it's like colour, what's it called, colour purple, and say Green Hornet, which I don't actually own those. Um, I started thinking of ones I own, and I thought I struggled to find 5 or 10 within the category. But once I started looking through the collection, yeah, I got about 20 or so here, and probably a few I don't own that I can think of. But yeah, that's kind of more than I thought. But yeah, it's more just a case of this way I show all the films in these colours. So some are not films I would usually get around to talking about. So obviously I've done some of like favourite films or underrated films, whereas some of these are like not underrated because they're good, or they might be a bit less heard of, or some aren't even ones I love that much, but I still kept them in the collection. But yeah, just from sort of going on that theme, so sort of forcing me to show different films than maybe I usually would, and some that I've kind of forgot about that I thought about rewatching after uh, doing this. Yeah, anybody else, feel free to do a video of the same sort of theme if you've got films different to this or whatever with colours in their title. Um, Quite a niche category, I guess, but yeah, it gives me a chance to talk about some films I wouldn't usually like this. So, for example, so this isn't exactly a colour, but obviously in the title to get it started, Colour Out of Space, Nicolas Cage, based on a H.P. Lovecraft film. Let's see if I can. It's Richard Stanley, I think, is directed by him. Not sure if I've seen other films by him, but yeah, I was really uh, surprised by this. Really fun film, but it is quite sort of disturbing. There's one scene I won't go into it with the mother and the son. Something happens that is just really haunting and like painful to watch. But yeah, it kind of had vibes a bit like Frank Darabont's Mist, but kind of a bit more alien-y. That's not really a spoiler, obviously, out of space. But yeah, that's a good one to get us started. Then you've got Eight for Silver. I think it was set like 100 years ago or so in like an old village. Sort of werewolf movie. That's not a spoiler, it sort of tells you that, but with a twist. So it's sort of something different going on with the werewolves and usually just turning furry and howling at the full moon. And you got Gold Member, Austin Powers. I've only got this one old DVD. I haven't seen this actually in years since I was a kid. I think I got this in the pound shop years ago when stuff actually was a pound in the pound shop, whereas now it can be like £5 or £10 or £3 with a certain purchase or some shit. But yeah, I haven't seen it since I bought it, to tell you the truth. Yeah, I haven't seen it since I was a kid, but remember it was funny, so I might rewatch that again. I've got the other ones in this series. It's called The Spy Who Shagged Me, and maybe there's another, but yeah, see if they are still funny in that. I do still like some Mike Myers things, like Wayne's World is classic, and then you got this sort of three colours in red, white, and blue. So this is a really sort of disturbing, gritty kind of revenge film. I won't go into too. It tells you on the back, but I'll try not to make this video too long, so I won't go into too much detail. But it's sort of revenge due to like a sexual abuse kind of thing. Um, and then yeah, I think these I've got in certain colours, so I think the winner is actually black, but we'll get to that. So you've got Green Butchers with Mads Mikkelsen that I spoke about. Let me just quickly have a speed read at the back, just so I don't make any spoilers. But yeah, they've got a butcher shop they run, and it's called Green Butchers because they're always really stoned and they smoke loads of weed. And so it's kind of like Cheech and Chong crossed with like a sort of horror film, and then you can probably guess what goes on with the meat that they serve and things, but I won't sort of spoil it. Save the Green Planet, I think this is one of the most original from the Tartan Asia Extreme. So I thought I had all of these, but I might have one or two I overlooked, but I've got most of them. But yeah, really nice. A lot of the Titan Asia Extreme, or at least that I've got, other than one or two with slip covers like Infection, are quite standard editions. Whereas this, it's got like a booklet and 2 discs, quite a lot of special features. But yeah, this is bizarre, really fun film. Kind of, I'd say the most family. Well, I mean it's an 18, but unlike a lot of the Titan Asia Extreme, that are sort of um, horror films, or like audition kind of extreme films, or they are varied, but there is a lot of sort of gunplay films and hard boiled, which just a lot more sort of violence. Whereas this is kind of a bit more of like an action comedy, adventure, sci-fi element. Yeah, it's hard to sum up. If you've seen that, you'll know what I mean. But I'm going to watch this again because I hadn't seen this since I first got this on Tartan Asia about 10 years ago. Uh, Tom Hanks, The Green Mile. Yeah, crazily, I've only still got this on DVD. Obviously, this one comes on TV a lot, and it's probably on Netflix or one of the streaming service in high quality if you want to look for it. And I will upgrade it eventually, but a lot of the films I've been buying on 4K and Blu-ray are sort of newer releases. Well, not new films, but say Arrow release like an old film, or the forthcoming The Hitcher coming out on Second Sight, things like that. I buy them because they coming out now, whereas there's so many films, same as like Face Off, I need to get on 4K, and certain films I like that I haven't sort of upgraded. I don't think I've got Face Off even on DVD or anything. Oh yeah, everybody surely knows The Green Mile. I won't talk about that too long, but I think it's one of the best films. Narrowly missed out on my top 15 of all time. Um, if I redid it, I might even have to put it in there, but I don't know what one I would take out. It's the problem, isn't it? Eli Roth's Green Inferno. I think this is one of the better Eli Roth films. I prefer this really to Hostels and Cabin Fever, although Cabin Fever is a bit of a comedy. It's one stupid bit about spoiling it. I think it's when they're like captured. Obviously, that's going to happen. It's a cannibal film, but the way the guy sort of gets out of it and stuff with like the cake, I think he like feeds him something. Yeah, I won't spoil it, but it was just a bit stupid for me. But yeah, it's got some real good gore and stuff. Yeah, I don't love this film, but I haven't rewatched it since I watched it once, but I've kept it in the collection to be fair. So I do prefer Eli Roth's newer one, Thanksgiving. I think that's probably the best one he's done actually. And The Green Room, I've spoke about this before on Second Sight. Anton Yelchin and Patrick Stewart. It's a real tense kind of. I guess it is a horror film, but I think the spoiler tells you this on the back. But this is like a punk band to play in, and then they're at a neo-Nazi kind of rally sort of thing in the bar, and then they go into the green room to escape them, and it kind of spirals from there. And then you've got Red, so Red Dragon. I'm sure everybody knows this. The prequel to Silence of the Lambs, book-wise, but came out after Silence of the Lambs. Rolf Fiennes is really good in this. I think Anthony Hopkins is in it, not as much. He's not like the main character. It's more about Will Graham, Ed Norton, um, trying to catch the Tooth Fairy, they call him, but Rolf Fiennes. But yeah, the book of that is really good. The film is good as well. I actually know it was directed. Oh, Brett Ratner, is it so? Yeah, can't say I know other films by Red Lights. I haven't actually seen this one yet. I got it for £1 in CX a little while ago, and it's in not bad condition. But yeah, Cillian Murphy, Sigourney Weaver, and Robert De Niro. It's some kind of not a ghost film, but I think it's about what do you call it, like paranormal research kind of things and like metaphysical phenomena. But yeah, I've yet to watch that. Red Sonja. This is one I really used to like as a kid. This is kind of very not similar, but in the same sort of vein as Conan films, Conan the Barbarian and Conan the Destroyer, but with a bit more. Sounds weird, even though it's kind of set in the past. It's a bit sci-fi, kind of bit like Kroll, where Kroll's got sort of futuristic aliens, but it's sort of medieval, but weird crossover. But yeah, Bridget Nielsen in it, obviously Arnold Schwarzenegger, directed by Richard Fleischer. So I don't know if I was cutting it out then. I used to really enjoy this one when I was a kid, and I think the reason I heard of it, even though I had watched Predator and Terminator 2 and stuff at the time, so I knew Arnie, was because my mum's name's Sonia, but spelt with like Sonia. So my dad like bought it on VHS as like a present for her, and then the family watched it. And you got Deep Red. think the Italian title for this is like Profondo Rosso, which obviously must translate to deep red. But yeah, it's not my favourite Dario Argento. For Suspiria, maybe Tenebrae over this, but that's got some really good scenes. And yeah, it's like one of the only old Arrow editions I've got. I think when they first came out, got a few actually DVDs of this, but not with the slipcase things on. But yeah, I won't get it all out with one hand. But yeah, I'm sure everybody knows that if you're a fan. Dario Argento, and then you've got Crimson Peak. So obviously, Crimson is a darker shade of red, so I thought I'd leave it to last at the bottom of red. Yeah, it's a nice sort of book edition. Again, I won't get it all out with one hand. I have shown this before in my Arrow one, I think, or in my pickups video. But yeah, done in the book. Yeah, one of my favourite Guillermo del Toro. Not quite as good as Pan's Labyrinth. Right, and then you've got Black, which is the most. I mean, I guess technically black and white aren't colours, are they? They're neutrals or negatives, or whatever you call them. But Black Moon Rising, Tommy Lee Jones. I think I could remember his name when I spoke about this film last time, and even though I just noticed it bloody says it on the front. Oh, did I not see that? Linda Hamilton from Terminator, and obviously you know him from lots of different things. I don't know, directs it Harley Coakless. So yeah, I watched the film the other day. That was by him. I can't remember what it was now. But anyway, it's written by John Carpenter. I'm pretty sure. I've heard that. I don't know if it says it on there. I won't. Basically, there's some technology. It's in the spoiler. It says it on the back. Some technology, and it's sort of being stored in this like really fast car, and people are trying to steal the technology and has to sort of drive it, and yeah, kind of a bit Knight Rider really. Yeah, it's not a brilliant film, but it's enjoyable. It's good. You've got Vin Diesel in Pitch Black. So I think I do have this one on another older Blu-ray, like the comic book version. I was going to trade it in CEX once I got this better Arrow one, but I don't think it's worth much on there, like £1 or so. Yeah, one I'm gonna get the Chronicles of Riddick. I do like as well. It's coming out on 4K on Arrow in a month or two. But yeah, those are really the only Vin Diesel films I like. I don't really like many of his big Hollywood like Triple X and Fast and the Furious and that Daddy Daycare, whatever it's called, looks really stupid. I mean, maybe it's good and some people like it. Let me know, but it don't really appeal to me. But then Step Brothers didn't really appeal to me because I didn't used to like Will Ferrell. And when I watched that, it's like the most hilarious film I've ever seen. Like, Ethan Hawke in Black Phone, should I say? Directed by is his name Scott Derrickson? Yeah, that does Sinister One. I don't think he does Sinister Two. I hope not, because it's not. I don't hate it as much as people say, but I won't watch it again, kind of thing. But yeah, Sinister One, really good film, I think. Kind of crime element to the horror and the little videos without going into spoilers, but a bit with the lawnmower. It's like one of the most effective jump scares I've ever seen. Like, yeah, this is really good. If you've seen the trailer, then this isn't a spoiler, so I'll go light on it. But basically, it's got kind of a little supernatural element, whereas I thought it might have. I don't think it spoiled the film, but I think it was stood well and alone. Sorry, well enough being just about the sort of guy that kidnaps the children in the town and stuff. But yeah, I didn't ruin it with the supernatural element, but did kind of that's what made it into a horror, I guess. Black Swan. I think I've only seen this once a while ago. It's not my favourite Darren Aronofsky film. I like Pi. It's called about a guy who, when he's like younger, he stares at the sun and he like goes blind, and then they put bandages on, and when he takes the bandages off, he's basically like a mathematical genius, and he can see again, but he can spot patterns in nature. And yeah, so I'd recommend that. It's like an old sort of black and white, well not old, but shot in black and white, Darren Aronofsky's first film, and it's about sort of crazy maths language, and which I'm not really into, but the way the film's set, where because he can understand the stock market and sort of, you gamble, bet on what stocks are going to come in, stuff like that, a bit like sort of Darren Brown thing, he is valuable. So the sort of shady government organisations are stalking him for information and stuff. But yeah, that's my favourite. But yeah, anyway, Black Swan, I'm sure people know this with the ballerinas. It was good when I watched it the first time, but after all the hype, I was kind of a bit disappointed in it, to tell you the truth. But I will watch it again to see if I've changed my mind. Sean Bean in Black Death, it's just got a pretty, it's like a sort of, yeah, Game of Thrones before Game of Thrones sort of feel to it, but yeah, sort of medieval set film, quite brutal violence and stuff. Like, can't remember it too much. I'm going to watch this one again as well. Get back to you if that's just really good. It didn't really, yeah, I guess it's a film. It's a documentary, but it's feature length. Blackfish. So it's about, I think his name is Tilikum, this killer whale, orca, whatever you call it, that's kept in captivity. And Sea Life, Sea World, what are they called? Sea Life Centre? No, I think Sea Life Centre is British. Sea World treated all their creatures but really badly, but I think they would lock up the orcas, killer whales, in on their own in sort of a small pen, and because of social creatures, it was like harming them psychologically, and then they would attack their owners. It doesn't show the footage, but there is footage of Tilikum pulling down like a diver and tearing her apart, kind of thing. Um, yeah, really interesting documentary, quite sort of dark and I wouldn't say disturbing. It's more like sad, I would say. Yeah, more sad what happened to the people involved and to sort of the killer whales and creatures that are in captivity. I mean, it's horrible for most creatures being in captivity, whereas whales, dolphins, chimps, even octopus and pigs and that are very sociable animals, so they suffer more in captivity. Whereas if you had a load of sheep in like a big, well, they are kept in a field because they're in a flock and that. I guess they don't know the difference and they're not as social. But anyway, black sheep. I think is it Australian or New Zealand? Probably New Zealand film, just because I've know there's loads of sheep in New Zealand, most per populace anywhere in the world. I've heard there's like 5 sheep to one person. But yeah, it's a comedy horror. It is silly, but it's kind of that is the point. But yeah, it is really fun. Some crazy moments. Yeah, I won't really spoil it by what sort of happens. But if anyone does actually have a phobia of sheep, then this might really creep them out because it is shot well where the sort of realistic looking sheep are all swarming around them, and then they use special effects when the sheep, this isn't really a spoiler, but mutate and they're turning monstrous and they're kind of got like a rabid disease, and then even the humans, if they get bit, turn into like half sheep, goat, ram monster kind of thing. But yeah, I would recommend that. It's sort of low budget, but it's well done. It's funny. It's like got a good script. It's got some good action. A few sort of bits you wouldn't expect, but yeah, maybe a bit more of an unknown film, but I do like it. Then you've got the Blue. So you've got Dark Blue with Kurt Russell. I did enjoy this. I might have to watch this again, see if it grows on me. I wouldn't say, well, I found it boring, but it's definitely not my favourite Kurt Russell film, put it that way. Blue Velvet. I need to upgrade this really on 4K. One of my favourite David Lynch films. Mulholland Drive I do like a lot. Inland Empire. Razorhead's probably my favourite just because it's so creepy and weird. And watch it at late night. It's just a really sort of surreal kind of film. But yeah, I'm sure a lot of people know Blue Velvet. Sort of when it first starts and there's a bit with the ear on the floor. That's not a spoiler. That kind of tells you what sort of tone the film's going to have. But yeah, it's mysterious and surreal as you'd expect from David Lynch, but with maybe a bit more of a Hollywood kind of not plotting. What's the word? Overarch kind of. Same as you could say Elephant Man is probably his most conventional film, but yeah, Blue Velvet, do like that one a lot. And the Blues Brothers, Dan Aykroyd and I can't bloody remember his name. See if I can find it. John Belushi. I don't know. I bloody forgot that, but R.I.P. Yeah, it's one of the funniest sort of comedies. I think some good music in it. So they sort of play off each other well. I'm sure a lot of people have seen Blues Brothers. I didn't sort of get around to it till like 10 years ago or so, even though I knew about it as a kid, just because it was sort of jazz inspired. I don't like that sort of music much. I just slept on it. But other than Ghostbusters, it's probably one of my favourite Dan Aykroyd films. And then I think this, we're coming near the end. Oh yes, you've got White. You just got White Out with Kate Beckinsale, which I haven't seen yet, but I really like films set in Antarctica or the Arctic or whatever you call it, like The Thing, for example. So yeah, I picked this one up in the charity shop. Don't really stop going to charity shops for a while, so I just wasn't finding nothing good. And then after I seen Ash at Popcorn and Horrors channel, and he picked up all those Vinegar Syndrome and that, I was like, well, I'll start checking in. So yeah, it was only £1. It looks quite good, and I do like Kate Beckinsale and what's it called with the werewolves? Is it on the back? Underworld. Yeah, I'm not such a big fan of Van Helsing, but yeah, so I thought I'd give that a try for £1. And then Michael Keaton, White Noise. I think the sequel to this is okay as well. I can't remember it. I don't think I own it, but yeah, I really like this one. Sort of EVP, electronic voice phenomenon, where allegedly ghost spirits, people that have passed on, whatever you call them, can communicate through like an EVP device. and then he sort of talks to his wife, but is it really his wife or is it something more sinister? Yeah, it's sort of, even though I don't really believe in ghosts, as I said before, I can not only suspend disbelief, but this kind of works in a way where it's sort of a bit psychological as well as supernatural. And this is the end pretty much, but this is the what do you call it? Assortment of colours. So I think it's just one of each. So you've got Yellow Brick Road. I think I did start watching this a while ago. I didn't like it, so I didn't sort of finish it. It just wasn't that well made, or basically we started it and then I had to like get called to go to work or something. I never finished it, but it seemed quite sort of low budget. But I've heard it's really sort of disturbing and haunting, kind of creepy film. So I will, again, doing this video has sort of made me think of a few. Sometimes I just do look through the collection, but without looking at every single one to sort of check the title to see if it had a colour in it. You don't always notice. So I'd be, oh yeah, I forgot about that. So yeah, that one I picked up in CX. It was quite hard to find at the time when I was trying to buy it. Clockwork Orange, sure everybody's heard of this one with Stanley Kubrick. Won't talk about this, but yeah, first time I watched that when I was a teenager, the bit when the music comes in and they're like silhouetted coming down the road, like it actually gives you like goose pimples kind of thing. Yeah, one of my favourite Stanley Kubrick films other than The Shining, not there with Full Metal Jacket, but yeah, I'm sure everybody knows this one. I won't really go into talking about that, but yeah, it's a classic. Pink Flamingos. I think this is the only Criterion I own on Blu-ray. I think I've got Sallow, 120 Days of Sodom, is it called, on DVD. I bought that just a while ago when I was sort of collecting like so-called disturbing films or like out there kind of shocking films. And I heard Sallow, but yeah, it's quite boring, not to be fair, Sallow. But anyway, we're talking about Pink Flamingos. Yeah, it's a really nice sort of edition. I was looking for this on DVD like years ago, but I just never really seemed to get it in England, or it'd be like £18. I think I seen it in CX once, but it was like beaten up. But yeah, one of my favourite John Waters films. I think I spoke about this on the last one when I did the underrated one, recommending Female Trouble, which I kind of think is a bit better than that. But yeah, it's basically like trashy, but in a kind of good way, sleazy, funny, extreme, pretty graphic sort of sex stuff. Yeah, it's just a crazy film. I wouldn't say it's a well-made film in the sort of way it is, but it's kind of a surprise for Criterion. You know, they've got some absolute like classics and like Seven Samurai, and then this is a really low-budget kind of sleaze fest. So yeah, quite sort of, I guess it shows the scope of films they release. Yeah, I am going to start sort of getting into Criterion more, collecting them, but do seem really expensive. A lot of their stuff, even for quite sort of standard editions. And then Jackie Brown. Let's go zooming in, and this really thin little DVDs, these ones. I've had this for years, this collection, but obviously he's released films since, but this was like 5 films. Yeah, I do like all of these. Pulp Fiction, probably my favourite. Kill Bill 1 and 2 I do really like, but some people I know have got them on their like top 5 favourite films, but I don't quite like them that far. Jackie Brown, probably my least favourite out of these. Reservoir Dogs, I remember watching that with my mates as a teenager, and we were all like, watched it like each afternoon for a few days, like where different mates would come around that hadn't seen it and they want to see their reaction kind of thing, where it's not that brutal, but obviously the sort of ear scene without going into it too much. Anyway, yeah, so that's all the ones I've got in my collection with sort of colours in the titles. Yeah, trying to think of other ones, but I can't off the top of my head. Yeah, I mean, I said I won't ramble on. This video ended up like 23 odd minutes, but yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.